Oh, shiitake mushrooms. It's another episode of the Gaming Memories Podcast. I would say you know the drill, in which I interview people about their favorite gaming memories growing up, which is what I normally do, but today we have a very special episode. I'm doing my first crossover episode with the Geek Reloading Podcast. I will put all the applicable links to their podcast and their socials in this podcast description, but we are doing a crossover episode where we both share the same episode. We had so much fun recording this. Part of the Geek Reloading program is they pit famous characters and franchises against each other in head-to-head sort of friendly debates. And then we make fun of each other and shit on each other and talk about how all of our opinions are wrong. It was an absolute blast. I love shitting on my friends. It's weird. The more I love you, the more I just want to bust your balls. And I say these things in the name of Miyamoto the Father, Kojima the Son, and Carman the Holy Ghost. Enjoy the show.
Everybody, welcome to the Geek Reloading Podcast. I am Adam, and as always, my co-host Josh.
Hello.
And we have a special guest today. He is a longtime friend of mine. He is a sexy, talented musician, and he has his own podcast that is an amazing podcast that talks about gaming memories throughout different guest lives. And he is a ridiculously huge, big brain, full of knowledge gamer. His name is Cade, and his podcast is Gaming Memories Podcast. Cade, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Excited to be here.
So we are literally, this podcast so far has yet to actually do a podcast in person. That's Cade has done almost all of his in person for the most part, because Cade is like on top of it and professional and shit. Not us though. Not us.
Nope.
Yeah. So usually we do lists, that's kind of been, for some reason, our weird thing that we kind of just, bled into. But Cade, why don't you tell us exactly what kind of makes your podcast like super unique, especially compared to most podcasts that are out there that are game related?
Yeah, so there was already really big podcasts that were game related. Like Retronauts is a huge one that goes over like old games, old series, cool stories and development. That's already been covered, done really well. I could never beat that. I'm not a game journalist. I don't have access to all these old interviews. I haven't traveled to Japan. That's on lock. There's a lot of like current events. There's already like, big juggernauts like IGN. They have their PlayStation. There's just like all the current events, the new game shit. When it comes to retro game stuff, Retronauts was already there, but what I liked was in other podcasts, say I'm listening to like a big podcast like Rogan or something, when video games came up, and I heard like I shouldn't say normal people. Gamers are normal people too. But like, sort of, maybe. When I heard like video games being discussed on a non-video game podcast, and it was more casual, just like how the average person feels about games, how it integrates with their life, my ears would perk up, like, ooh, that's cool. And honestly, I just wanted an excuse to get to know people, to have conversations. Like, you get a little lonely in this modern world, and so I'm like, I'm going to start a podcast, and I'm just going to ask people about like, because for me, growing up, gaming was a big deal, and I have all these magical moments and these watershed moments in these games that impacted me and influenced my music and influenced my personality and my taste in sci-fi and movies and books. It's like a big deal, and that's a good way to get to know someone. Talk to them about like what were their magical moments if they're into gaming. What were the big games and why? And it's been really interesting to see how different. I mean, there's some common ones. If people were born like between 85 and 90, whereas I was born, there's some definite overlap. Most people have the NES as their first console, and Mario and Duck Hunt is a big deal. If they got a Super Nintendo or a Genesis, there's a few big watershed games that most people are going to admit. Halo is a big one. GoldenEye always comes up. But usually what I can ask people is like, well, what specific moment in the game, not just the game, and that will be different for everybody. If it's, everyone brings up Halo, but someone might say the first time I got in the Scorpion tank and the scale of the levels blew my mind. Someone else might say that second level where your pod crashes and you get out and you see the ship come down and you just have this realization that these maps are huge. Someone might say a multiplayer story, or Adam will talk about a fucking skunk. Oh, can I swear, by the way? Are we
yes. Dude, yeah, no,
please.
Yeah. You're solid.
Adam will talk about a skunk and multiplayer stuff. LAN parties come up a lot. So anyway, that's the gist of it. I bring people on that I think are interesting or that are into gaming. Maybe they have some other creative thing. Adam's obviously into media and very creative, and I talk to him about the games that impacted them growing up, and let that be like the starting point. And then sometimes you go off rail and talk about music or politics or drugs or whatever. But for the most part, it's I usually start out with asking what's the first console or the first video game you ever saw, and that's like the starting point, and then kind of just go through their childhood, and we jump around from there. I've been guessing the first console pretty accurately. I think I'm like 5 for 5 the last 5 episodes.
Yeah, man, you're pretty solid on that. You're like, wait a minute, you're around my age. It's got to be this one, maybe, right? And they're like, yep, it is.
and if they're a little bit older, like I got Stone Age Gamer perfect. They were both a little bit older than me, and I'm like, oh, and I somehow they said something that inferred that there was different consoles. Like I somehow knew that they had a different first console, but they were both born in like 78 and like 80. And so I'm like, what are the two biggest consoles pre-NES?
Was like Coleco and Atari?
Yeah, Coleco and Atari 2600, and I nailed it. And then
nice.
There's a kid on, he hasn't been out yet, Barbahu Games. He has like 3,000-something pieces in his collection. He's this giant collector. He was born in 95, and I guessed Game Boy Color because I was like, I knew it was a hand. He gave me a hint. He said it was a handheld. And so anyway, if you kind of know like the big consoles and when they were born, it's actually pretty easy. But I like to give myself credit for it.
That's still pretty impressive, though, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the spiel. I talk to people about their favorite games growing up, and it's an excuse to make friends. And if you can connect over video games, you're pretty much insta homies.
Yeah, that's true. Now, one thing that is really cool about Cade's is that it's not like just a 20-minute in and out. Like, what's really cool is that he does give that open area where you can just kind of deep dive and people can talk about things, but it's unique. Like, you'll see, like Cade's in a lot of overlap between people that are around the same age, but their experiences are so vastly different, and it's just cool to hear how they connected. I mean, sometimes it's really deep, even like, well, like my family's going through a shit time, and I totally had this one thing that I connected to, and then you start thinking about the games. Well, dang, when I was going through this hard time, I was burning through this game and I just played it on repeat. And it's cool to see kind of how people have used games to kind of get through all sorts of different events in their lives. And it was cool. I was really lucky. I got to jump on and have fun with Caleb. And like we went through the skunk story of Halo, which that might be another time for another podcast of ours. So, but yeah, so in this one, we're doing a whole new format for this one. This is something that me and Josh thought that would be really fun, but we realized it wouldn't be fun with just 2 people. So we're going to add another person and see how it goes. And we're calling these our Super Fight episodes. And what it is that we are going to get 2 either characters, items, games, whatever. We're going to compare them based on one factor. So what's going to happen is that I've created a couple different ones of these guys, and we're going to have them. I'm going to put them up on screen for Josh and for Cade, and they're going to we're all going to debate. And what's going to happen is that we're going to take a vote at the end of the debate and see which one actually wins in that category. Okay,
and hopefully there will be a way that we can break it apart. So
there's 3 people, right? So everybody gets 1 vote. So best 2 out of 3 is the winner of that. Okay,
yeah.
So we're going to start with one. It's kind of, we'll see how this goes. This is a untested format. We're winging it on this one, but the first one that I'm going to do is called the best worst drivers, and it's going to be about driving games that we both all of us have grown up playing, but we're going to pick which one that we like the best. Okay, so the first one is best worst drivers, and the competition is between Mario Kart and Twisted Metal as franchises. Which
franchises?
As franchises.
And I'm confused when you say best worst. What do you mean by best worst?
That's just the nickname for the category. So we're actually going to compete Mario Kart versus Twisted Metal, and we're going to say which one do you think is a better franchise. No. And now I'm talking about from the beginning to the end,
bro.
How is it not, though?
How is it not a question? I mean, okay, it depends on when you say which one is the best franchise. Like you said, we're going to compare them over like a single characteristic. Are we talking about sales? Because if it's sales, it's lopsided.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
I'm gonna judge it on 2 things because I already knew you guys were gonna be like, "Hey, that's way too fucking broad." I knew this was gonna come up. We're gonna talk about battle mechanics,
okay,
and themes. Okay, so battle mechanics and themes, meaning. So that's the thing, is that Mario Kart is very well known to have just kind of a general, you are competing for a trophy, and that's pretty much it. Twisted Metal has a long, storied, very spooky, dark undertone style that's
Twisted
always
Metal,
attached to it.
just that story in Twisted Metal Black screwed with my head.
Oh.
Yes.
I got so creeped out the very first time I played Twisted Metal 1, and the first time I beat it as the cop. So you can never have this, like, for those of you who don't know the shtick between Twisted Metal, there's this guy named Calypso who's like a god. He can grant wishes. He has this tournament. It's like the typical tournament shit, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, whatever, a reason to have people fight each other. But when you win the game as a character, you get to ask for your wish to this like genie type character. But it's sort of like that. What's that movie with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley's the hot ass Satan chick?
Bedazzled.
Woo! Elizabeth Hurley in her prime.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Anyway, you know how she like twists his wish into like he gets what he wants, but it's actually a curse. Somehow ends up being a curse.
Yep.
That's how Twisted Metal is. I didn't know that was like the shtick. And I played as the cop, and he wanted to live in a world of peace, no violence, and no crime. And so the Calypso just sends him into space to live alone.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? And I was young. It like broke my brain, and it made me feel so off for days. Props to Twisted Metal for that.
See, right there's an example. Like themes, Mario Kart's like, oh, you're just fighting for a trophy. With Twisted Metal, you were always trying to play. It made you want to play with different characters to see what their outcomes were.
Yep.
It made it so then you wanted to actually try different things. That's why, arguably, if you're talking sales and just life of the franchise, I mean, Mario Kart's going to win. But also, they play it safe. I don't really feel like there was too much holy there. So I'm saying themes and battle. Yeah. Those are the two things that you're going to judge it on together to pick one or the other.
I will say
Mario
this.
Kart.
Oh, go ahead.
Mario Kart does have a lot of options. There's that, but the environments aren't as interactive as Twisted Metal environments were.
I'm just gonna put it down there right now. Theme Twisted Metal by far.
100%.
That fucked with my head to the point where I still think about some of those stories. But like battle, I actually really like Mario Kart. It's a solid, stable game.
The way that I would kind of parse those two is like, I recently played Twisted Metal 1 and 2 to do some videos. I haven't edited them yet, but I played them semi-recently, and I've also played at least the 64 Mario Kart. I haven't gone back and played the SNES Mario Kart, so
it's not bad.
I'm not sure how that controls, but I played the 64 Mario Kart. Tight, like, it felt refined, still fun. Twisted Metal 1 and 2, strip the nostalgia away, they weren't that fun. They were like...
They're rough.
Yeah,
they're hard
rough
to play.
So, mechanically, Mario Kart is far superior, but I've always liked the dark side of the Force. I always thought that the freaking Sith were cooler than the Jedi. I always thought dark magicians and evil and metal and demons were cooler. So Twisted Metal wins. It's like, if it's 50-50 themes versus like battle mechanics, it's almost like a tie. Twisted Metal hands down wins the theme. Mechanic wise, hands down Mario Kart. So it's like it's maybe like a draw.
What's funny is I think I agree with you guys to an extent. I actually think I'm all in the camp of Twisted Metal. That's personally me, because if you play Mario Kart 64, it is solid, but it's a little clunky to me, and I don't feel like they took enough risks. But I think that I should have split this one into two different ones. This is a bad start, because I think we all agree it's like Mario Kart for gameplay, Twisted Metal for themes. Guys, we're learning. Yeah. We're learning.
Have you played the? I haven't played the newest Twisted Metal. There's like Black on PS2. Is there one newer than that one?
There's PS3. That's the one that's in this image. It's the PS3 Twisted Metal, and that one was fun. It was definitely something that was quite interesting. They tried to stick with the black theme, and I feel like they kind of did really well. We'll see. I mean, it depends. Okay, so this one's a little bit easier, okay? I got another one, since we kind of 50-50'd on that one. Okay, so this one is the best adventure across the city, assaulting people and stealing their money or possibly random food from garbage cans. And that is going to be Double Dragon versus Final Fight. Which one is a better beat 'em up?
Oh, shit. This one's going to be rough.
I just right out of the gate, Double Dragon. Double Dragon. I'm down. Like,
hands down, Double Dragon for Josh.
Yeah, I like the progression. Like, I sat there and I would beat on a freaking the ghost enemy and first one for 2 minutes just to make sure I could get all my power-ups so I could do like the cooler moves early on. Yeah, I did not play that much in the final fight. I didn't spend as much time working on it.
See, Cade's a Sega bro, though, so I feel like Cade might say Final Fight for the start.
Well, Final Fight was on the SNES, so you got that
that's
wrong.
true. Wasn't it
Yeah.
You're
also
thinking
on
Streets of Rage.
Oh, Streets of Rage. Yeah, you're right. That was your homeboy right there.
I played both, definitely. I'm actually just looking up because I don't remember how many Double Dragon games.
Double
there
Dragon
were.
1, 2, 3, Super, Neon, and I think that's it.
Neon's the newest one that's like 3D. It was like a throwback.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And you had Final Fight 1, 2, and the PlayStation one, whatever the 3D one that they did.
Fighting Force, that was like technically a sequel. I can't remember.
It was like a spiritual successor.
Yeah. Okay, so that's rough. I only played Double Dragon 1 on the SNES.
And that one's the worst one. Well, that's a lie. 3 sucked too. Double Dragon 2
No,
was the
three,
best.
3 sucked. Like 2 was probably the best.
It was
I
the
would
best.
say.
Okay. Man, it's hard. I'm biased, but I would say Final Fight, but for not a very like admittedly objective reason. I think Guy, who later appeared in was first appearance in Street Fighter was Street Fighter Alpha, is one of my like aesthetically pleasing characters. I love his lore. He's like this Bushido ninja. He has the meme "Profound Sadness" every time he dies. Profound sadness. I just like Guy, and his first appearance ever in any video game was Final Fight. And Final Fight was in the arcades, and I had Streets of Rage, but I didn't have a Super Nintendo, and I always kind of like didn't want to admit it, but I'm like, Final Fight's pretty badass. I kind of wish I had a Super Nintendo to play Final Fight.
Yep.
I
would
feel
never,
you, homie.
I would never tell
yeah.
my friends that. But
Well, no, you can't admit it.
so Final Fight has more like just nostalgia value, but I honestly I don't know enough about Double Dragon to say like what's a better beat 'em up.
But I think
Well,
that
I
means
mean-
that you by default Final Fight is yours.
Yeah.
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 Hagar was really awesome too. I really liked Hagar. That was one of the things that I always thought. I always thought he was just like this super like family man that was like, oh yeah, now I'm gonna have to kick everyone's ass. Like,
Wasn't it his daughter that got kidnapped? Like
I think
I
it
think
was.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also the mayor, by the way. So
Oh
He's
yeah.
also the mayor?
yes, he's the mayor. What I've always thought, like, wouldn't it be badass if our president was this giant, or mayor, or whoever, some politician was a legit just freak? I mean, it'd be like
Well,
The Rock. It'd be like The
it
Rock.
was Jesse Ventura was the
Yes.
governor.
That's true.
Yeah. And then
That's
you got
true.
Arnold Schwarzenegger as the governor there, but that was like after the fact. But still,
Yeah.
it was there.
That is true, and it is pretty cool that way.
And just like
So-
think about the mayor's like, we got a problem of gangs, and my daughter has been kidnapped. Fuck the police force. Fuck the feds. Like
I've
me
been
and-
taking steroids for 4 years for this moment.
yes.
That's
I'm
pretty
gonna get
much
my
it.
own-
Like yeah, like super steroids. I'm gonna go, and then I think there's a part where he like actually rips off his shirt.
Oh yeah, no.
And-
Yes,
he
at the very
tears off his
beginning.
shirt.
Yes, and then
Yeah,
he also has the one suspender, which is a bold move. It's not double.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the one suspender.
I feel
Yeah.
like that means he means business. I really feel like that's what it comes down to.
It means like I am so V-shaped that if I don't have something, these pants are going.
But it's
So-
not even like a regular suspender. It's like he was like, hey, I need something to hold up these pants because I'm still have a 24-inch waist. So I'm going to get some sort of messenger bag belt and put it across my chest. And that's what's going to be the plan.
Yeah.
My vote is for Final Fight. And Cade
Whoa.
is yours for Final Fight? Because I loved Final Fight.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
Shit.
yeah.
I got downvoted on
Yeah,
that. Wow. I did not expect that one.
Okay, so this one is much more like comparable. Okay, now this one, what is the better 4-player arcade game, old school arcade?
Oh
Simpsons
no!
versus X-Men.
Are you going to
a
make me choose
4-player
between
arcade?
my babies?
Yeah,
Oh no!
Oh,
everybody
man.
wasted quarters on this with 3 friends to try and get to Magneto and or Mr. Burns.
Oh my god!
absolutely. All right.
I've already got mine because I built this. I already know mine. Mine is X-Men hands down. Even though you got less gameplay for your quarter with X-Men, because it was pretty heavily stacked compared to Simpsons.
You could get through the first level pretty all right, but then that second level, that kicked you right in the gooch.
Yeah. But I still vote X-Men because I'm a video game comic book. Like, you put those two together, and and that's my answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in with you. The X-Men, I really love that. I mean, I really like Simpsons though. That was a fun beat 'em up, and it was simple. So I don't know.
So
what do you think, Cade?
What I liked about X-Men, you're right that it was more of a quarter eater. The first time I beat it was when I got a plate in the Nickelcade, and I could actually afford to just burn through some coins and beat it. I liked that, like, the first time you fight Magneto, it's like a Fox boss battle, and it's actually Doppelganger, and there's another stage after that. I loved Dazzler. I thought, like, she was a character that wasn't featured often in the Fox. I don't know if it was Fox 13 all over the country, but the Fox cartoon, the after-school cartoon.
Yep.
There was Jubilee in the cartoon, but I thought Dazzler in the arcade game was a cooler design than Jubilee.
Oh yeah.
They're technically two different characters.
They are?
Yes, you are correct. Yeah.
My
but
bad.
no, that's the thing. So Dazzler is like a pop singer, and Jubilee is like the intro to X-Men on the cartoon. But they were it was kind of back and forth on who they were going to have in there, because this is obviously the original roster. But Dazzler didn't come in the original roster. So when it came out in the 80s, they were trying to like throw in a character that had been recently released, and that was Dazzler.
I see.
So
I thought they were different takes, because their powers just seem similar to me.
Yeah,
so
like fireworks looking stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just interesting.
The thing with Jubilee was she was a teenager, and they wanted the kids to connect to the show, so that's why they did the show that way.
That makes sense. And fun fact about the Simpsons one, when Marge is electrocuted, when you see her bones, you see that she has rabbit ears, because that was going to be an original joke in the cartoon, that Marge is actually a bunny. Like, remember how they had those big, giant, full-size, adult-looking bunnies in the first, like, season or 2 seasons?
Yeah.
She was going to be one of them, dressed up, married to Homer, but they were like, we dropped that idea because it's too weird. But it made it into the video game.
I did not know that. Either of those facts. Now, by what I liked about Simpsons, it was the first time that I remember seeing some unknown number has called my phone 5 times in a row. I don't recognize the number.
That's weird.
No, it's probably some whatever. I'm not going to answer it. Every time I get tempted to you know what, I'm going to answer this unknown caller. 99% of the time, it's some fucking robot call. I'm like, why do I ever fall for this shit? I'm not going to do it.
They're worried about your car warranty.
Yes, that one comes
every
up all
single
the time. All the time. Yeah, anyway, what I like about Simpsons, it was the first time I remember a video game really capturing the look of a cartoon, like playing a cartoon, playing a TV show.
That is true.
X-Men looked good, but the art style was different than the cartoon. It was just a different style.
It was closer to the comic and not the cartoon.
That is true.
I will say Simpson was probably a more solid beat 'em up game. Like, you had a lot better hitboxes and a lot more stable attacks and stuff in Simpsons than X-Men.
I've watched playthroughs. I'm sure someone has done this if I looked it up online, but I've seen lots of playthroughs where someone can actually go through and beat Simpsons without taking a hit and with skill. Yes.
That's insane to me.
That's some next level stuff.
Is that possible? Even possible on X-Men? I don't even know if that's possible. X-Men
I don't know.
No. There are a couple things where it's almost just cheap, because I mean it was the quarter eater. So I mean they had some cheap areas where it was some bullshit.
That was the entire point to all arcade games, though, was to keep you pumping quarters in there. So you were supposed to win, but it was going to cost you.
Simpsons still is a quarter eater, but I liked that at least there was enough depth that someone's figured out how to legitimately get good at it. I don't know, how hard that really is. If I went back and spent time playing it, I bet it's really hard. And the other thing I liked about Simpsons, slightly more than X-Men, is more bosses, and I thought there's just more bosses. In any beat 'em up, the boss fight is like the highlight of every level. It's the best part. And because Simpson had more bosses, I think I just like it a little bit more.
And even partial bosses, the mid-level, enemy that
the higher regular guys.
Yeah, that you're going to be beating on for a little bit, not just a couple 2 or 3 whacks. That's true.
I would have the exact opposite, because every single time there was a boss, I would be spending $4 fucking trying to beat him. Like, I don't want to do that.
Get good, scrub.
No, get to Nickelcade. I'm waiting for that Nickelcade entry, and this shows up, and the joystick doesn't work right, and they aren't refunding anything.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how I beat the majority of my arcade games, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are your votes? My vote is X-Men.
I'm gonna go X-Men just because I love the look.
And I'm going to lose, but I'm going to go Simpsons.
All right, X-Men wins, but you brought a lot of valid points, because I think that overall I had more fun playing with the different boosts with the Simpsons than I did with the X-Men characters. Like the specialties that took your life away. I think I like theirs more.
X-Men is cooler. It is definitely, I would say, cooler. But I just think Simpsons is pretty cool and mechanically better. The depth, more enemies, more bosses, more characters. Yeah, I don't know if it's more characters. How many?
It's too late. The votes have been cast. How dare you continue to try to sway me? How dare you?
Okay, he's trying to pull me off that fence.
I know.
He's got some sly ways. I got to keep him in line. All right, so I got another one. Right. This one is an age-old argument. I think that everyone's had this conversation one way or another, because usually people only owned one. But it is Street Fighter versus Tekken. Which one is a better fighter? Which one is a better fight franchise?
As a whole franchise?
As a whole franchise. I'm talking from the beginning to the end. Which one do you think is better?
Damn.
Because you got Street Fighter Alpha, you got Tekken Tag, you've got the extra stuff that came with Tekken, like Tekken Bowling. You got Street Fighter Puzzle.
I'm throwing it right out there. I'm just going off of the best games that I loved of each one. Street Fighter, 2, all that, and then Tekken Tag. Yep. Tekken Tag by far. Like, I love Tekken Tag. I would play that for hours.
Yep, I agree on that. If we're comparing the two favorite, mine would be Street Fighter Alpha versus Tekken Tag Tournament. Definitely, I had more fun with Tekken Tag Tournament. Played it way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everybody burned through Tekken Tag Tournament so much.
Yeah.
Like, mine would have been like if I'm just basing it off the franchise alone, like every single game's merits, Tekken Tag had so much content. It was so hard not to do everything in there. And when you got the PlayStation, the home versions, and you had the extra stuff, the offline battle, single player story stuff, you had the Tekken Bowling, all that kind of crap. It's hard to beat that.
Freaking, like, kind of beat 'em up that was kind of hard to play.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it wasn't made for a beat 'em up side scroller 3D whatever that they were building. My vote's Tekken. I think did we all say Tekken? Is that what it was?
No. That's just game versus game.
Oh, that's just game. Caves dissecting it. I'm talking about franchise. I'm talking about franchise as a whole. I still pick Tekken.
That's because you're wrong. But I will say Tekken Tag Tournament, out of all the games in both franchises, personally, I had the most fun playing Tekken Tag Tournament. But
for sure,
as a franchise, because first off, Street Fighter, like you were talking about spin-offs, Street Fighter kills. Like you have, if you want to count X-Men versus Street Fighter, Capcom versus
Capcom,
Marvel versus
SNK.
Capcom, SNK. You can get, if you want to allow all of that into the equation, Puzzle Fighter into the equation. And then also the fact that if we're going to go with fan films, Street Fighter actually has some really dope shit in fan films on YouTube. Tekken doesn't. Street Fighter, obviously, he's probably sold way more as a franchise. It's more iconic, more legendary.
I mean, it kind of paved the way for Tekken, but I think Tekken refined it.
The Street Fighter movie, like
now that yes, that's a slam dunk. Yeah. Freaking Raul Guda, whatever his name was, is M. Bison.
Cade's convinced me on this one. I'm switching over.
Yes.
I hadn't thought of all that extra stuff.
I shouldn't open this up to debates.
I think Street Fighter, the movie, the game, should just end this debate. It's so,
I don't think so.
It's so bad it's good.
They did Blanca dirty. They did.
Oh, they did a lot dirty in that movie. But damn, like there is a lot connected to Street Fighter.
Well, yeah. All right. Yep. I've lost this one. So
you lose this time.
It's 2-1 for Street Fighter. All right. Okay. I'm gonna.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I did not expect that one.
See, this is why we need these, man. This is why we need these. Okay. So the next one is another one from beginning to end. We've all had this conversation sometime or another. Most badass female. Samus versus Lara Croft.
Oh shit. All right, Samus. I'm just putting it down there.
Until Kate says something, and then you're going to change your mind.
No, because seriously, think of it this way. Like, some of the best ones, like, one of the best things about the last couple of Lara Croft's games is her death, like the screen, like
the death
videos of her death. Yeah, thank you. And like, they were amazing, and they were really visceral, but it was also like her dying. Samus, she doesn't do that. She's badass, so badass that you're like, this is awesome, and then you realize that she's this super hot chick as well. Done. Samus, by far, no questions.
They didn't care about her enough to create death sequences for her. That's how much she didn't matter.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're pulling it down.
I said it. My vote's Lara Croft, just because from just the geeky, nerdy, gamer, sexualized character to the actual badass character in the recent franchise. I think that all the time, and granted, the first few were really rough mechanically as well, but so was when they were trying to fuck around with Metroid with these different systems. I love the new ones. I think that is some of the best gameplay when it comes to adventure style. It's up there with Uncharted. And so I pick Lara Croft. She's badass. Sure, she dies a lot. Sure, she gets stabbed by sticks floating down a river.
Ooh,
but
that particular one is like, everyone remembers that one.
Yeah, right through the neck. That one is. Yeah, everyone remembers that one. And she's like trying to pull it out, and she's still alive. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
you know why? Because we care about her, Josh. Because we care about her.
That's fine, but I mean, like, no stick is going to kill Samus. Plain simple. Like, it just couldn't. There's no area for it to get into her neck.
Or is Samus only badass because she has alien armor and she's actually a pleb?
Ooh, yeah.
Laura's got nothing but grit and soul.
Yeah. What you see is what you get with Lara. She's like, hey, I'll cleave you with a hiking or a climbing axe. But Samus is like, hey, I'm out of my suit and I have a pistol, but I look fantastic in these pumps. Hey, how dare you? Lara Croft, she's a woman of action.
I'll probably pick Samus. I've been thinking about this. Okay, so Laura, we talk about sex appeal. Laura was like the first one. Those triangle boobs were awesome for every like 11-year-old.
Oh yeah,
so awkward.
Let's just be real. A lot of gamers are men. Men are pigs. We like sex. We like boobs. It's a thing. It is what it is.
Thank you.
But Samus kind of wins in the long run because the reveal at the end when you find out Samus is a girl, either the first time you find out Nintendo or Super Nintendo, and then you get Zero Suit Samus later with that latex shit, and she's hot.
And who's more badass? I didn't say who's hotter.
Okay, that's just I know. And that's just one part of the formula. It's just one part of the pie chart. I'm walking through my logic of why ultimately Samus is going to win. Okay, Samus. They both have hot, but Samus is like less overt. Like, it was a hidden hotness. It's not like the forefront of her character. Where early Lara Croft, that was like the main thing. Big boobs. Angelina Jolie played her in the movie. Now, new Lara Croft kind of like made her more about being a badass, and her boobs got smaller, and she's more like a normal person.
And she's got sexy fucking boobs in the new one.
I don't know how open you guys are, but I've definitely seen more Samus porn than I have Lara Croft porn.
But hey, how many movies? If we're going back to the Street Fighter argument, how many movies have been made by Metroid? How many movies have been made for Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it depends on 3 movies for Tomb Raider.
And to be, and to be straight, it's not like I'm watching. I've just seen like what's the shit on?
You saw it in passing. He was trying to do a book report.
I've looked at shit, but I'm saying I've been advertised or like bombarded by thumbnails for Samus stuff, fan whatever, or it's like on Steam, right? And you have these like indie games that are all that I don't know why on Steam they even allow these like shitty like sex games that always show up on the front page.
Dude, it's so hard to vet so many games getting distributed on there.
But I'll see like Samus knockoff like characters in those games because I click on them, like watch the preview. I was like, what is this? This is crazy to me. So I would say like Samus gets more like. That could be a downplay. Like, it could be a downside that Samus gets objectified more in modern day than probably because Lara Croft moved away from like the sexy image in the newer installments. But Samus Samus is sci-fi in robot suits, which just I love that shit. I love sci-fi.
If you threw Lara Croft in a robot suit, I think that this wouldn't be an argument.
It wouldn't be at that point.
Yeah, see?
Yes. Yeah,
so
but
take away the armor. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I can't say that. That's not fair.
No, like just that first time you play through Metroid, you're this badass space marine. You're going and kicking ass. You're taking down these giant aliens. You're fighting Metroids and everything, and you go through the whole game, and then all of a sudden you win, and all of a sudden she takes off the suit and she's a girl, and you're like, what the fuck?
That was pretty epic.
As a little boy, like, that was fucking huge for me.
Yeah, but I'm not asking a 5-year-old's opinion. I'm saying across the entire thing, man. I'm saying
you're asking both Cade and my opinion.
Yeah.
You're asking 5-year-olds.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, okay, obviously, I think we are ready to vote. I am voting Lara Croft, hands down.
You're wrong, and you lose.
How dare you, good sir? I'm assuming that Josh is picking Samus because he's a toddler and remembers the NES, and that's the only thing he's going to base it off of. Cade, based off his hentai searches, is choosing Metroid as well, it sounds like.
Hey, I'm not afraid. I get curious, bro. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Hey, I mean, we have one 5-year-old and then we have a junior high kid. That's all it is. That's fine.
Hey.
But we're not. We forgot one major thing. The Metroid Prime trilogy, first person, totally different style, legendary, worked out pretty well. Has Lara Croft ever broke out of third person action and then been another franchise, another type of game? I don't think so.
No, but she adopted the over-the-shoulder like Resident Evil 4, and it's one of the best adaptations for action and quick time events. Yeah, I'll fight you on that. Anyway, I still lost this one. You guys are balls. All right.
You totally lost.
I didn't lose. You know why? Because in my heart, I'm a winner. That's
I'm saying this. Cade's reasoning for Samus, I'm very happy about. This is
because he had an argument. Josh was like, well, when I was 5, it really made me feel something.
Well, no, like it was actually epic. Like they had to desexualize Lara Croft and then give her a sexy fucking voice to actually make her like connecting with people.
How dare you?
Again.
That's not true. All right, we're moving on. Okay, this one, I don't know if you guys have played these. I'm assuming everybody at least understands who they are and everything. It's pretty widely played, but it is who's the biggest shopkeep dick, and that is between Tom Nook and Marcus Munitions from Borderlands.
Oh,
I know. I'm ready. I'm good.
You say that every time, and then you change your mind. So I don't believe you at all.
All right, I'm gonna say this. Tom Nook is an entrepreneur. That man has given you a house. He is now giving you a fucking island. And just for a little bit of bells, not even a little bit of bells, it's just for some work at the beginning. Marcus is a dick and always has been. Done.
That's it. So you pick Marcus as the bigger shopkeep dick.
He is the biggest dick in this.
I'm going to go.
Cade?
I'm going to flip. Here's why. Here's my logic why. Marcus has a reason to be a dick. He lives in a world of like dog eat dog, only the strong survive. He's probably been fucked over who knows how many times. And it's like it makes sense. He's looking out for himself. Whereas, dude, it's a peaceful world of plenty in Tom Nook's world. Like why is he even charging people in the first? That brings me up one other question that's kind of, it's a little off topic, but why when you're playing a video game and you're like an RPG or whatever, and you're the king or you're the fucking leader or you're the owner, and why do people charge you in the first place? Why is Tom Nook charging you in the first place? I get why Marcus is charging me. I'm just a person in the world. And but yeah, Tom Nook's a way bigger dick. He could go full communism and it would work. This is an idyllic world we're living in.
I agree with Cade. I think Tom Nook's a bigger dick.
What?
Now, here's why, okay? First off, yes, Josh, he's an entrepreneur. He's like, hey, I'm going to give you a dog house. I have 4 of them. Pick a color roof, you dick. And then you're like, okay, cool, thanks. And he's like, well, that's definitely not enough. I'm like, all right, I can make 50,000 bells. That's fine. So you're like, hey, I paid off my dog house. I'm literally only one person living in a 1-room apartment. I'm fine with this. And he's like, no, you got to upgrade. I'm like, I don't want to upgrade.
That's your choice.
And he's like,
that is your choice.
Well, no. So here's the thing. You're like, all right, apparently you're the only realtor in this town. That's kind of weird. So then he's like, what do you want? Do you want a bigger house? Do you want another floor? All right, I want another floor. He's like, okay, I'm going to charge you 5 times the amount you originally paid for that. And you're going to have to pay it up over time from fish. How dare you?
No.
And he's like, hey, I'm just trying to make some cheddar. I just need to put some refinements.
Here's a 0% interest loan. I'm just taking care of you. Also, you got to figure right from the beginning.
That's a good point. There's no interest.
You're riding on a train, just chilling. You meet a cat. Shout out to
who
Rover.
is clearly an accomplice.
And if he is or not, but you're not going to that town.
Just preying on young, impressionable children.
You don't have to stop at that town, huh? You even name that town. You choose that town. You are the one that's causing this issue. Tom Nook is just like, hey, you want a house? Here's a good deal. Here, help me out with some of these tasks that I have doing, and you can have this house.
It's slave labor, dude. It's slave labor.
Random dude comes to your town, and you just give him a house for tasks. Hey, go and deliver this shit.
You do not get the house for tasks. You still have to pay 50,000 bells pretty much after. You get
You get the tasks at first.
Yeah, you get the task, and it pays like 2,700 bells, and he goes, "Cool. Well, that was nice." He's like, "Now you're gonna still owe me some more money, bitch." Yeah. So
no.
Here, put on this apron. You work for me now. And then you're like, "Wait, what?" I don't know. I just ran away from home.
It has to be Tom Nook because
it has to be Tom Nook.
Because look, you made a good point about interest rates, but I don't think that no interest rates make up for the fact that the prices keep hiking and hiking.
Clear inflation of the prices of homes.
The reason he can do that is because Adam made a good point. He's the only guy in town. It's like a monopoly.
He's the only realtor.
It's a monopoly.
He's the only one that has built up this town to be something special. And all of a sudden, like, some random dude is just like, hey, I want a house. I want to live here. And he's like, cool, here you go. But look, wait. Let's go back over to Marcus real quick. Marcus, when he's introduced on this picture like that Adam has, right before this, no refunds. You have a guy going, hey, you sold me a gun that doesn't work. And he's like, oh, let me see it. He takes that gun and shoots the guy in the leg. I mean...
Well, it worked.
Technically speaking, he was just troubleshooting. That's all I'm saying. Like
literally troubleshooting.
That's all he was doing.
I'm saying this. Tom Nook hasn't ever shot a guy. I think he wants to shoot Red.
Who's to say that these people are actually moving out of this town? For all we know, he's just packing them up in a body bag, throwing them in the river, and he's like, "Hey, this house is open, and some monkey wants to move in." Why does he have
a monopoly? Naturally, if you have freedom, if there's actual freedom in this town, someone would want to also open up shop. Why are there no other guys? Why is he the only one?
It's a racket.
Yeah, there's dead bodies somewhere. There has to be.
Wow, all I'm saying is look at this picture of Tom Nook. Look at this picture. Look at his eyes. He's killed multiple people. You can see it in his eyes.
Man, look at that. He has been working his ass off. He is tired. He is tired.
He could tear off your fingernails with pliers and not blink.
Whoa.
That's all I'm saying.
You guys are playing a different Animal Crossing.
Anyway, so now we're going to put it up to a vote. So is it either Marcus, who is someone who's trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world, or is it Tom Nook, who preys on the young and innocent and hides bodies in the river? I choose Tom Nook.
Marcus gives shit guns. Plain and simple. Gives shit guns. So
he provides secures a protection for you. So Tom Nook,
you guys are wrong.
Tom Nook wins the biggest shopkeep dick. Kate, I'm glad you're along for the ride. Hooray!
I agree.
Okay, we have two more. That's okay.
Bullshit.
Now this one, I already know I'm going to lose. I already know, but I did it anyway. So this one is called, Is That a Sword in Your Pocket? Or Are You Just Happy to See Me? This is Big Sword Bros. It is Cloud versus Orin.
Well,
motherfuck.
So Kate and I are picking Cloud, and you're picking Orin.
We don't even have to argue it.
That's what's going to happen. And I could go on a whole rant why Adam is wrong, but it's. I mean, Adam's love for Final Fantasy
haven't already heard.
Yes, I will admit, Orin is the saving grace of Final Fantasy X. That is otherwise a dog shit game. And Cloud is badass too, so the fact that they're both badass characters, but one game is overall better than the other game, so Cloud wins.
I mean, that's an argument for another time. Kate is drawing a strong, we almost weren't friends when we first met. We almost weren't friends. That's how bad it was. But I respect that he's willing to stick to this because he hasn't changed his mind in the decade and a half that we've known each other.
Okay, yeah. I will admit one thing about Final Fantasy X. that I would have never admitted when we were first hanging out. I think the idea of of sin and the cycle in the lore of the world is actually cooler than Sephiroth as an antagonist. The execution is debatable, but the idea of like this religion and this cycle and this thing called sin comes and cleanses kind of reminds me of like the what are they called in Mass Effect? The Reapers come every 10,000 years and wipe out civilization. And there's this cycle. Like, that idea is sexier to me than just, like, Sephiroth is bad and evil and wants to destroy the world. It has more depth to it.
Yeah, it's a little static.
But
I would agree with you until you go into, like, Advent Children and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
Like, the whole Final Fantasy VII.
We're not talking about, like, oh, I can't say that. We've been talking about movies and everything. I'm like, don't bring that in here.
Yeah, we've been talking about everything. It's got a lot, like, you know, the whole, like, life system. You know, Genova was an alien. She kind of infected part of the world, and that's where Sephiroth came from. And, you know, all that shit, like, I think it fleshes that out a lot more. But if you're just going the base games, 10 and 7, like, yeah, I would give you the concept on how it's the final fantasy of that story is probably a better concept.
That's a good point when you bring up Advent Children and like, well, if you bring into the remake into this shit, then it gets really weird. I don't know if you guys played the
thing.
remake.
We're comparing I'd say compare the originals. I might even give Advent Children a pass because it's like, if you're taking the original game and you're fleshing it out with an extra 90 hours of content, like they're trying to plan with the new one, that's a little hard argument right now.
Yeah. Anyway, Cloud's, as far as a big sword bro, Cloud,
big sword bro.
He is the big sword. He made the big sword bro a thing.
Yeah. Bigger than his own body and giant. I mean, just looking at that thing looks heavy. Like, Auron's sword is pretty big, but like it doesn't look as massively heavy as Cloud's.
Now, Cloud doesn't have a flask of alcohol. That's one down. Yeah. That's one down.
That is a good point.
Yeah, and he's also not like a Ronin style fighter, but I can appreciate the Cloud's like the OG sword bro.
Yeah,
you know,
I gotta give it to him for that, for just being the OG. Yeah.
That being said, I would say like a half prize for Auron just for being so badass and being dead and never bringing it up. That's probably one of the coolest fucking thing ever.
And I mean he's the sole reason Final Fantasy X is even worth even touching. So you got to give him that too. Yeah.
Okay, so Cloud wins this one. Actually, I forgot I have two, but this one is going to be a quick one, I think. And then the last one, I think, is probably the biggest, most easy, like the one that we can argue the most. But this one is an easier one. This is Heroes of the Console War. Which one? Is it Mario or Sonic? Heroes of the Console War. Which one do you think is honestly, after everything, the hero of that console generation war? You know what I'm talking about. If you're talking about from Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo back, which one do you think?
If we're stopping at 16-bit, I'd actually go counterintuitive and say Sonic. If we're stopping there at
stopping 16-bit. At 16-bit.
Yeah.
I mean 16-bit, like Mario was doing a lot more than Sonic. Like Sonic was playing some pinball besides, running through some stuff, but Mario did a lot. I mean, he had kart races. He was a doctor. Like,
malpractice lawsuits everywhere.
Hey, yeah. All he did was push drugs. That's all he did.
He was just working for Big Pharma.
I'm gonna go Mario because he has had some adventures. And really,
I don't know,
like,
man.
He got with Peach, and Peach is hot. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, first off, you're not talking one. Sonic, we had Sonic and Knuckles. We had the Knuckles spin-off series. Sonic also had a badass cartoon. You guys remember that? Eating chili dogs all the time?
That's true.
Mario had a cartoon.
Also, and I love those Mario's cartoons.
Mario's cartoons
they were
sucked.
ridiculous.
He also had a live-action movie, which was awful. He also had a live-action television show where Mario was an actual, 40-year-old Italian plumber. That was unsettling.
Well, no, that was just like the introduction to the cartoon. So I mean, they were just a little bit.
It's still a little weird.
Sure. The two reasons
Honestly,
go ahead.
I think I'm with Cade actually though, because I feel like Sonic was just something else. It was something new and different, and it kind of captured that. 90s had that extreme, super awesome, weird mentality, like with everything in the environments. Like they tried to just cater to kids with bright colors and fast moving shit. That was Sonic. That's all it was.
And I
That
think
was Sonic.
the two reasons I would say Sonic sticking at 16-bit is one, overall the Genesis, if you take into account Europe, it just Europe was dominated by the Genesis. Super Nintendo didn't really take there. In the US, at the very, very end of the life cycle, SNES slowly out because they had some big hitters, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario, what you could say would be an argument for Mario, but Super Mario RPG was a late SNES game. That was a big deal, Donkey Kong Country. The SNES ended up barely winning. I think the numbers are slightly higher in the United States and North America, but if you factor in the whole world, I think Sonic was a bigger name during that time frame. Like more kids were like having those magical moments with Sonic than they were with Mario. And then the second reason I would argue is the fucking half-pipe stages on Sonic 2. There's just nothing like that. And Sonic 3D Blast as well. 16-bit. There was no 3D Fox 3D Mario, anything minus Super Mario RPG, which was like that isometric view. I don't know. A slight lean towards Sonic. Just like barely wins it out.
I'll lose on this. That's fine with me. I will stand with Mario on this because he had so much going for him.
I will agree.
You make it sound like he offed himself in some like green pipe world. Like what happened to Mario? He had so much going for him.
I mean, Sonic actually probably in a way offed himself if you go to all the way to modern times. I mean, once Mario 64 came out, it's not even a question after that.
That's true.
Done. Yeah.
That's why I capped it at 16 because I feel like that was the actual console war was Sega versus SNES. I feel like that was the console war. So if you're talking about the heroes of the console war, I would probably say Sonic was like 52% and Mario was 48.
Yep. I'm pretty much same spot.
Yeah. Okay, Josh,
right,
you lost by 2% from each of us. Okay, this one is probably the most debatable.
Well, wait. If we're going by percentage, and I'm like,
no. That means that my vote goes to Sonic, man. That means that kid's vote goes to Sonic.
Percentage, like mine is like 75% Mario. So would that make up the percentage?
No. We're not doing fucking electoral college bullshit.
That's what I was going to say. Our votes in electoral college.
Yeah. Okay. So the last one. This one I think is the most arguable one way or another, and that is who is the biggest badass. And it's nicknamed 2 Tickets to the Gun Show. Who's more badass, Doom Guy or Master Chief?
Oh, dude.
Ooh.
Somebody who goes through the galaxy, destroying entire Covenant worlds and destroying things that can kill planets, or somebody who ravages through hell, ripping out torsos from demons.
Oh shit! Like this one's difficult.
This is the big one. That's why I saved it for last. This is our last one.
Because I was knee jerk. I was going to be like Master Chief, obviously, but
Doom Guy.
It's Doom Guy.
But
it's
Doom Guy is pretty badass,
and especially in the newest one. Holy crap!
Yeah, if you factor in Doom Eternal and Doom 2016, because I would say I love sci-fi, I love suits. That's why I gave Samus the nod. They both have badass suits, but the suit for Doom Guy wasn't really a thing until the 2 most recent Dooms.
That's true. I'm saying it's from the beginning to the end with these two.
Yes,
from Halo 5 back, and from the newest Doom Eternal back.
I'm still going to say Doom Guy for just 2 reasons off the top of my head. They're both sci-fi. They both have badass suits, but I think killing Satan is cooler than killing aliens.
I'll surprisingly, I will agree with Cade. Like, I mean, I love Master Chief and he's my boy, but like, seriously, Doom Guy, like, he is just badass.
And I will say this,
Master Chief.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Master Chief was very like cerebral in the last couple of games. He was doing good work, but not really like Doom Guy. Doom Guy was just killing everything.
Doom Guy was doing the Lord's work.
Yes.
Yeah, he totally was.
And speaking of OG, Doom Guy is not only just the OG, he's not the true OG. You have Wolfenstein and a couple other, but he made the FPS sort of He was
Yeah.
like the Nirvana of FPS. They wasn't the first grunge band,
Yeah.
but he
No.
brought grunge to the mainstream.
Because Doom 2 was like the Nirvana of
Yes,
shooters.
yes.
Everyone wanted to play Doom 2 at some point in time in their life when
That made the genre.
yeah.
And I would say that the Doom guy, especially with the two newest games, the games have gotten better and better. Whereas I still have played all the Halos, but nothing has reached the highs of Halo 1 for me. Whereas Doom Eternal was like my favorite Doom I've ever played.
yeah.
I'm there except for Halo 3 for me. Like, it went up and then has gone steadily down.
See, I liked
So-
Halo 4. Halo 3 was solid. Halo 2 was solid. Halo 1 was solid. However, with Doom, you had Doom 2, which was really good. Doom 1 was good for its time. Doom 3 was not good. And then you had the newest one. So I feel like you have like a lull in the middle with Doom, and then Halo, it starts off strong and then dips. So it's
I have
hard
a
to
good-
argue.
I have a good counterpoint for that. But Doom Guy has all the mods, specifically Brutal Doom. I don't know if you guys have seen any footage of Brutal Doom, the mod for like the old Doom games that makes it like
Yes.
That is true.
so. And I would also disagree. Doom 3 didn't suck. It was just more of a horror game than a like action.
No, it
game.
didn't suck. I actually enjoyed it, but it wasn't a Doom game. It was a horror
Yes.
game with a Doom
Yes.
skin.
And it wasn't like a high point
Yeah.
in the series either. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised, but yeah, I'm going Doom Guy
Yes.
on this.
Yes.
Honestly, I thought it was going to be Master Chief as well, but I have
Yeah.
never felt like a more badass than playing Doom Guy ever.
Yes.
I don't think
Really,
I've ever
like,
felt
you're-
more badass.
You're badass in it.
It's
so.
it's the combination, I think, of you're killing demons. It's fast, it's bloody, and then the music is so.
Oh my
heavy.
gosh, the music is some of the best
Yes.
music ever.
It is.
Well,
Yeah.
you have the visceral stuff, like chopping into people. Like,
Ripping out
Master
the
Chief-
eyeball and shoving it in the mouth and everything.
yeah, like Master Chief has got the energy sword, and that's cool and all, but it's just like done in and out. You're done.
You don't see a
like,
torso
Doom guy
fly
is like
or anything.
chainsawing the guy.
And Doom,
All right.
Doom Guy also
Yeah.
has the Crucible sword to sort of compete with the energy sword.
That is true.
Yeah. And even that's like more visceral and more enjoyable that way.
And just
That is
demons.
true.
Alright.
Just demons,
Wow.
man. Demons. I love sci-fi. They're both sci-fi, but one is sci-fi demons horror. Do you remember the movie Event Horizon?
Yeah, not very well, but I remember it a little.
It was like sci-fi horror. Well, the first sci-fi horror combo, like demons in sci-fi. Like the idea is the ship disappears, then it reappears like 30 years later, and it has a distress signal. So this other ship goes to check on them. What's happened is that ship got sucked into like another dimension of like demons and came back, but it wasn't like, you know, like evil, the Satan's out to get me. It was like, no, aliens are real, but they're actually demons. And that's kind
I
of
gotta
like
watch
Doom
that.
Guy because they come. I actually don't know the lore. Are the demons from Mars, or do they just they opened a portal on Mars?
I think they opened a portal on
Okay.
Mars.
I think they just opened the portal.
Okay.
A portal
Also,
to hell on Mars.
we haven't mentioned like The Rock.
Oh, the Rock movie.
The Rock
like-
movie Doom, that one.
He is awesome. Like anything The Rock touches
He plays.
has got a bit of gold.
He plays Sarge and says "Semper Fi, motherfucker." That's. And also, one of your colleagues who's in a wheelchair turns into Pinky, the monster, in a wheelchair and tries to come after you. However, they did try to do a first-person shooter style shot for like 3 minutes long, and I give them credit for trying, and I do own that movie, so that's okay.
I'm saying we don't have a giant blockbuster Master Chief.
Yeah, because
so-
Peter Jackson fell through. That would have been one of the most amazing movies ever.
Yeah, but it's not.
Okay, so what are your votes? We all vote. Do we all vote Doom Guy?
Yeah,
I'll
Doom Guy.
vote.
Man,
Yeah. Wow.
I'm
that's
surprised.
crazy.
I'm surprised because I thought it was going to be Master Chief, but man, it's hard to argue it.
I think there's also recency bias. Doom Eternal just came out; it was badass. Maybe if
that's
if
the
Halo
point.
Infinite was out already and we were playing it, it might be different.
If Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal had never come out, Master Chief would have
Yes, Master Chief would have won for sure.
won. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's my list
Wow.
for our first super fight. That was fun, guys. That was fun.
That was
was
actually
super
really fun. I think it's a good
Yeah.
idea.
So
I think we'll have to do this again.
yeah, that being said, we're going to do this again. And obviously, Cade, we didn't even touch base on this. Cade is a huge RPG nerd, and he is very well knowledgeable in all of the JRPG stuff, especially the classic stuff from PlayStation. If you get him on Suikoden, he's just gonna go for 3-4 hours and just on his own. Just leave him alone. But yeah, and so we're gonna definitely try and have him back on for sure. Besides that, Cade Gaming Memories podcast, it's awesome. Take a listen to that too. We're gonna put a link on for it in our description for this podcast episode. Besides that, Cade, you also want to plug your music?
Please, like.
Yeah.
Me and Josh are huge fans of his music.
Like, seriously.
You can find the best place to find the music right now is on Bandcamp. You can just Google ROBOCLIP, RoboClip. That's the musician name. Bandcamp usually is the first thing that comes up. There's some shit on YouTube. There's a little bit on Spotify, but because a lot of my music was done back in the day, I have a lot of video game remixes, which I can't officially release. I have my favorite thing I've made is actually a Chrono Trigger remix album. I think that's probably my favorite thing. I spent hours on the cover artwork. If you're a JRPG nerd and a Chrono Trigger fan, if you look at the cover artwork of that, there's hundreds of Easter eggs in that cover artwork. I spent forever trying to fit in as many references into that cover artwork as possible. Same thing with the songs. The songs have like samples from all the games. Some are obvious, some are more not so obvious. But that would be, if you're into gaming, I would say check out that. It's on Bandcamp, Chrono Trigger Remix album. And then you can just RoboClip on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and then Gaming Memories Pod or Gaming Memories Podcast. I would say you could just search that, but like for some reason YouTube does not like my channel. It's really hard to find. You'd have to just
YouTube's finicky that way
weird,
sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll try and make sure we also tag all of your sources and stuff too. Yeah, because it's been a hell of a good time, man. I appreciate that you came on and everything.
Thank you.
It's been super fun. We're gonna have to do it again.
Yeah, so I'm almost tempted to steal this idea. I won't. We'll just have you. I'll have you on my podcast doing the idea, so you guys get credit because I thought it was really fun.
Dude, we'll totally do a super fight on your podcast. We'll just keep on doing this.
We do need to do another podcast because I want to talk Final Fantasy with you.
Oh my gosh. So, all three of us. Yeah. We need to do an RPG episode too. That's on our list.
So I think what we're going to do is I found 2 other guys. It would be hard because it'll be like 5 people, but I think that'll be good. Is total might be a long, maybe we have to break it up, but I have 2 other people that I've had on the podcast that are RPG nuts, and I wanted, basically my idea for a JRPG podcast was an unofficial version of what you guys just did. I wanted to go through all the JRPGs, probably stopping at like PS2 and just argue about them, essentially debate.
That's cool.
But maybe awesome. We could organize it a little bit more like a head-to-head like this, but have a bunch of JRPG nerds on and just talk about JRPGs specifically.
Dude, we're totally down. Awesome. We're totally game.
Absolutely.
So that concludes our podcast. So obviously, like, subscribe, all that stuff you hear on our end stinger. By this time, Josh, we should have given away that game, right? We're going to have to do another giveaway.
Yeah, it should.
Which, by the way, there's like 3 people who have entered. So whoever got that 33% chance win, congratulations. But yeah, so this has been fun. Cade, thanks again. And yeah, we will talk to you guys next time.
Adios.
Boy.
Geek Reloading Podcast with Adam and Josh. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have a question? Email us at geekreloading@gmail.com. Theme song titled Rocket by Kevin MacLeod. You can rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast service.